Woodrow Wilson was now the 28th President of the United States of America, beating Taft and Roosevelt with 40 of the 50 states' votes. With the war in Europe and Germany controlling this war, Woodrow Wilson had to face his biggest obstacle in his presidency. Woodrow Wilson was born in New Jersey on 1856 December 28th. Shortly after his birth, his family moved to Staunton, Virginia, where he spent most of his childhood. Wilson usually went by his middle name, Woodrow, when he went to school and in public. His parents started calling him that too. Wilson's father, Joseph Ruggles Wilson, was a fairly wealthy man of that time, best known for his company of boats, trains, etc. Woodrow Wilson's mother, Janet Wilson, was pregnant with a baby boy at that time, which would become the fourth child of the family. Wilson was happy to have a younger brother. Unfortunately for the family, the baby boy didn't make it past 2 years old. Devastated, the family moved to Georgia to start a new beginning. It was this decision that sparked an interest in Woodrow Wilson's love for politics. He wanted to do something that could take his mind off the loss. Wilson was only 14 years old when he found out he had a strong interest for politics, but only being 14, his parents told him he had to wait a few years if he wanted to go to university to pursue his passion. Over the years, Wilson proved that he had what it took to become a strong politician. When he was 16, his parents surprised him with a train ticket to go back to New Jersey, his birthplace, to go to the university, in hopes that he would become a stronger and better politician. At the University of New Jersey, Wilson studied and learned more than he ever had before. He knew it was time for him to step up and become the governor of New Jersey. He ran for governor in 1911 and beat Bevan M. Lewis, a Republican, with 53.93% of the vote. But Wilson knew he wanted to do more, and he ran a campaign as Democrat for the presidential election of 1913. He won the election. With the raging war in Europe, Wilson was under loads of stress, contemplating if he should declare war on Germany, thus the U.S. entering World War I. With the war still going on in 1913, Wilson decided to take his mind off things with a tea party at the White House. He invited family and friends to this party, but one woman who was there that night would change his life. As Wilson went talking to everyone around this party, he noticed one woman standing in the corner alone. He went up to her and introduced himself, but obviously she knew who he was, but he did not know who she was. He asked for her name. Edith Galt, she said. As the two were talking, they got into a deep conversation, and it was both revealed that their lovers were both dead. Woodrow's wife died a few months earlier to lung cancer, with Edith's dying to the same cause. The two saw each other again in secret at a private dinner at the White House. The public did not know about this. Only his physicians and advisors knew about this. As the months went on, the two decided to get married in secret, even after his advisors told him not to get married, as she easily could have been a spy for Germany. On December 18, 1915, Wilson got married to Edith Galt, who is now Edith Galt Wilson. With the two finally being married after all this time, Wilson trusted her enough to tell her secrets. He told her about the state and the war in Germany. With the U.S. now in the war, Wilson needed a partner, and Edith was eager to be this partner. The two traveled to Europe together to try to discuss peace. At the Battle of Mons in 1918, World War I was officially over. Woodrow Wilson could finally rest in his presidency. A few months later, he was congratulated and won the Nobel Peace Prize for the League of Nations, which helped allies countries in the war. With all of his accomplishments, Wilson was still in his second term as president. But all that changed in 1919, 1 year after the war. It was a normal day at the White House, or at least it was, until Edith Wilson found Woodrow in the bathroom unconscious. It appeared that he had had a stroke and his left side was paralyzed. His physicians told her he was in no state to lead the country. But with the president out of the United States acting as their president, who would step up? This person was Edith, as she knew easily more than the vice president did at this time. They didn't tell the public until 1920, when Wilson was able to come out of his state of paralyzation. He announced this to the country. The country was in shock, and some took this blame on Edith. Sadly, the cause of this is because they did not want a woman leading the United States, especially in secret. Wilson died in 1924 due to his stroke. However, Edith lived to the 1960s to see JFK's inauguration, but not his assassination in 1963. With JFK being assassinated in 1963, the 25th Amendment was put into place. Proposed by Congress and ratified by the state in the aftermath of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the 25th Amendment provides the prosecutor for replacing the president or vice president in the event of death or removal, resignation, or impeachment. What is not known is that John F. Kennedy and Edith talked about the 25th Amendment before his assassination. Like it or not, Edith Wilson was a contributing factor to the 25th Amendment putting in place. Without her, we would have not been where we are today. She was the founder and building blocks of the 25th Amendment. Sadly, in 1961, Edith Galt Wilson died of heart failure. With the storm on the Capitol on January 6, 2021, President Donald J. Trump was being investigated for impeachment. The 25th Amendment was blocking Trump from spreading any more lies. His Twitter account and every other social media account was banned. Trump lost the election for president. It was unclear what the future held, but with Trump taking the country in his hands and destroying the very fundamental laws that created this country, the 25th Amendment stopped this man. Edith Galt Wilson was a fundamental part of the building blocks in the act. Without her, we may not realize it, but we would not be here where we are today.